a collective reading for December 2022. An extract from Carl Jung's Memories, Dreams, Reflections. I'm going to have a look at this section where he was traveling. He went to Africa and he went to America, and I believe it was in New Mexico. He stayed with the Pueblo Indians. And there's some interesting archetypal observations. I asked him whether he did not think the sun might be a fiery ball shaped by an invisible god. My question did not even arouse astonishment, let alone anger. Obviously, it touched nothing within him. He did not even think my question stupid. It merely left him cold. I had the feeling that I had come upon an insurmountable wall. His only reply was, "The sun is God. Everyone can see that." Although no one can help feeling the tremendous impress of the sun, it was a novel and deeply affecting experience for me to see these mature, dignified men in the grip of an overmastering emotion when they spoke of it. Another time I stood by the river and looked upon the mountains, which rise almost another 6,000 feet above the plateau. I was just thinking that this was the roof of the American continent, and that people lived here in the face of the sun like the Indians who stood wrapped in blankets on the highest roofs of the Pueblo, mute and absorbed in the sight of the sun. Suddenly a deep voice, vibrant with suppressed emotion, spoke from behind me into my left ear. "Do you not think that all life comes from the mountain?" An elderly Indian had come up to me, inaudible in his moccasins, and had asked me this heaven knows how far-reaching question. A glance at the river pouring down from the mountain showed me the outward image that had engendered this conclusion. Obviously, all life came from the mountain, for where there is water, there is life. Nothing could be more obvious. In his question, I felt a swelling emotion connected with the word mountain, and I thought of the tale of secret rites celebrated on the mountain. I replied, "Everyone can see that you speak the truth." Unfortunately, the conversation was soon interrupted, and so I did not succeed in attaining any deeper insight into the symbolism of water and mountain. I observed that the Pueblo Indians, reluctant as they were to speak about anything concerning their religion, talked with great readiness and intensity about their relations with the Americans. "Why," Mountain Lake said, "do the Americans not let us alone? Why do they want to forbid our dances? Why do they make difficulties when we want to take our young people from school in order to lead them to the kiva, site of the rituals, and instruct them in our religion? We do nothing to harm the Americans." After a prolonged silence, he continued, "The Americans want to stamp out our religion. Why can they not let us alone? What we do not only for ourselves, but for the Americans also. Yes, we do it for the whole world. Everyone benefits by it." I could observe from his excitement that he was alluding to some extremely important element of his religion. I therefore asked him, "You think then that what you do in your religion benefits the whole world? He replied with great animation, "Of course. If we did not do it, what would become of the world?" And with a significant gesture, he pointed to the sun. I felt that we were approaching extremely delicate ground here, verging on the mysteries of the tribe. "After all," he said, "we are a people who live on the roof of the world. We are the sons of Father Sun, and with our religion we daily help our Father to go across the sky. We do this not only for ourselves, but for the whole world. If we were to cease practicing our religion, in 10 years the sun would no longer rise, then it would be night forever." I then realized on what the dignity, the tranquil composure of the individual Indian was founded. It springs from his being, a son of the sun. His life is cosmologically meaningful, for he helps the Father and preserver of all life in his daily rise and descent. If we set against this our own self-justifications, the meaning of our own lives as it is formulated by our reason, we cannot help but see our poverty. Out of the sheer envy we are obliged to smile at the Indian's naivety and to plume ourselves on our cleverness. For otherwise we would discover how impoverished and down at heels we are. Knowledge does not enrich us. It removes us more and more from the mythic world in which we were once at home by right of birth. If for a moment we put away all European rationalism and transport ourselves into the clear mountain air of that solitary plateau, which drops off on one side to the broad continental prairies and on the other into the Pacific Ocean, if we also set aside our intimate knowledge of the world and exchange it for a horizon that seems immeasurable and an ignorance of what lies beyond it, we will begin to achieve an inner comprehension of the Pueblo Indian's point of view. All life comes from the mountain is immediately convincing to him, and he is equally certain that he lives upon the roof of an immeasurable world closest to God. He, above all others, has the divinity's ear, and his ritual act will reach the distant sun soonest of all. The holiness of mountains, the revelation of Yahweh upon Sinai, the inspiration that Nietzsche was vouchsafed in the Engadine, all speak the same language. The idea absurd to us that a ritual act can magically affect the sun is, upon closer examination, no less irrational, but far more familiar to us than might at first be assumed. Our Christian religion, like every other incidentally, is permeated by the idea that special acts or a special kind of action can influence God. For example, through certain rites or by prayer or by a morality pleasing to the divinity. The ritual acts of man are an answer and reaction to that action of God upon man, and perhaps they are not only that, but are also intended to be activating, a form of magic coercion. That man feels capable of formulating valid replies to the overpowering influence of God, and that he can render back something which is essential even to God, induces pride, for it raises the human individual to the dignity of a metaphysical factor, God and us, even if it is only an unconscious sus intento. This equation no doubt underlies that enviable serenity of the Pueblo Indian. Such a man is, in the fullest sense of the word, in his proper place.